Hey everybody, we're live. Welcome to the Funny Shrink Podcast. I am Mike Cateo, and there you
Frank
go.
Frank King, and our guest today, and she's going to have to remind me how I met her. I think it may have been on LinkedIn, could have been on Twitter, maybe in a bar somewhere. I'm not sure exactly. But she's written a book about the movies we watch and their impact on our mental health. And she was on my podcast, the Suicide Prevention Punchline, and I thought, mental health, movies, Mike, the Funny Shrink, she'd make a good guest. So please welcome Anne, and I've forgotten how to pronounce your last name.
Hi.
Hey again. And what's your last name? Could you tell us?
It's Feustel.
Feustel.
It means little mitten in German.
Yeah, of course it does. I knew that. Just testing you.
Okay.
Frank, your memory's bad. Is it early onset Alzheimer's? What's going on?
Yeah, because Anne, where do we meet? How do we get hooked up?
It was through the Facebook group, the podcasting, be a guest, find a guest group.
Podcast Collaborative Club. That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that site.
Yeah. Those are good folks over there. You can find a lot of different podcasts. I found another one I really love called Mental Health Film Comment I've been on a couple of times now.
Oh, really? And describe what's mental health film comment?
Basically, every episode is a movie with mental health themes. So, like Silver Linings Playbook, Girl Interrupted, that kind of thing. We just talked about Love and Mercy on the last one, which is a movie about Brian Wilson.
Oh, new movie.
What got you into this?
So the movie is from 2014. What got me into writing about movies is basically just that I've been watching movies obsessively before I can remember, since I was a tiny little kid. And I realized about 6 years ago that watching movies is something that that helps me through my day. It's a coping skill. It helps me just survive and thrive and deal with my stuff and deal with my depression, anxiety, and the mania experience.
Very cool. That's how I felt about stand-up. When I was diagnosed with HIV, I realized stand-up was the only thing that made me happy. And so I jumped right in full time.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's just something for me that is just so healing. It's so healing to watch certain movies, and I talk about a bunch of them in my book, certain movies for me, like The Princess Bride and Inside Out, When Harry Met Sally, Contact, a whole bunch I got 12 movies in there that I really focus on, but I think the number one is Inside Out.
Very cool.
There's a mental health message in Contact with Jodie Foster?
No, actually, the movies I'm talking about in the book are all ones that help me through my day. So they're not all ones that have mental health messages. Some of them do, like Inside Out has a mental health message. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind has a mental health message, but not really Contact. That's more of like the movies in the book. Yeah, they're my comfort movies.
Okay. Well, mine are The Shawshank Redemption, Die Hard, The Last Boy Scout. These are all ones I could watch again right this minute. Another Bruce Willis. 13 Blocks.
Feel good movies are about death.
Yeah.
That's not about you, Mr. King.
Yeah, well, there's another Bruce Willis one that I don't know how got much play, but it was 13 Blocks, I think it's called. About a cop, he's drunk. He's transporting a prisoner from one place to the court, and of course, the mob wants to kill the prisoner. So, yeah, I'm with you, Anna. There are a handful of movies that Night Shift, Michael Keaton, Henry Winkler, when they play morgue attendants. There you go, Mike. Death again. Yeah, Eddie Murphy, the first, the one with Nick Nolte, the first one. Where the 48 hours. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are certain movies I could watch again right this minute.
I love The Princess Bride. That is an awesome, awesome movie. And my wife, when we were dating, she's like, I hate that movie. I never watched it. I'm like, we may have to break up over this. This is serious.
Yeah, you know what I've never seen is The Sound of Music.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, it played in my little town.
They have Nazis. You might like it. They have Nazis. They're
killing. Yeah, it ran for like 108 weeks at a little theater in the town, Raleigh, where I grew up. And at some point I thought, well, you know what? I haven't seen it. I'm not going to go see it. I just made it a thing. And so,
I just realized I had a sock up on them.
I was wondering about your sock up. I think, well,
I didn't even notice.
I guess you should check your background twice to make sure there isn't anything weird up there. You go on a podcast.
Kelly's Hero.
It's off screen, so we're okay.
I like Kelly's Heroes with Telly Savalas and Donald Sutherland and Clint Eastwood, all-star cast. I could watch that again today.
Well, I haven't seen that. That sounds good.
Kelly's Heroes? Oh, my Lord. Yeah, they're behind German lines. They've got a tank. There's apparently a bank full of gold somewhere behind enemy lines. Mm-hmm. And the only way to get into the vault in the bank is with the tank. So they team up. Don Rickles is in it. It's definitely worth a watch. I think it's it's not necessarily a comedy, but there are funny moments because Rickles is in it.
Sorry, Anne, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go for it.
Can I ask, what do the movies you like have a common theme?
I mean, I like so many different movies, but one thing I really like in a movie is kindness. Characters who are kind. That really, is important to me. I like dramedies. That's sort of the subject, a comedy / drama movie is something that I really get something out of. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I really love in a movie is it makes you think. It doesn't sort of end up the way you might have thought it would. So, but yeah, I think just the movies that help me learn something is another good thing.
Awesome. I'm a big chick flick type of guy.
Big what?
Chick flick type of guy.
Really?
Yeah. I like the movies that make you cry, get embarrassed that you're crying. I like those. When I was like 12 or 13, I'm watching Beaches with my mom and my sister. And at some point, I'm like ugly crying, dry heaving. And my mother looks at me and goes, "What the hell is wrong with you? Stop crying."
That movie should make everybody cry. Like, that's just one of those movies that if you don't cry at Beaches, or if you don't get at least somewhat emotional, then there's something going on there.
There's something wrong with you.
Yep.
So you enjoy crying at movies, Mike?
I do not enjoy crying at movies. I get very embarrassed by it. But I do like watching them because they make me feel. I like things that make me feel.
Well, I talk in the book about the Hunger Games movie, about how watching that movie will always make me cry. Because there's that scene in the beginning. Have you guys seen the Hunger Games?
Yeah, there are what, 3 films? Are there 2, 3? Yeah, I think I've seen all 3. Yeah,
or 4. I guess they did 4? The last one is 2 parts. Have you seen them?
I have not.
Okay, so the Hunger Games basically is this series about, sort of set in the future, about this young girl in this dystopian world, and she's sent to something called the Hunger Games, where kids fight to the death to win lifelong riches and all this kind of stuff. They're forced to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, the main character, who's played by Jennifer Lawrence, her little sister is picked to fight in the games randomly.
Oh, that's right.
And so she volunteers in her sister's place. And every time it happens, or every time I watch the movie in that scene where she volunteers for her sister, I start crying. So
I can
that's
see that.
the movie I go to. If I need to cry, if I'm having problems, if I'm feeling numb, that's what I watch, so I can cry and I can feel better.
No, I'm a big wuss. I'm watching just watched the third season of Cobra Kai on Netflix, which is the updated version of the Karate Kid movies.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there's a scene there where I actually started crying in the car while I'm watching. I'm like, man, I'm crying at this like B movie, but I get attached to the characters. I like the cast, I like the characters, I like the relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It seems somewhat, I mean, it's a little far-fetched in spots, but otherwise, relationships believable, and the drama is believable. So,
yeah, I've been told to watch that show.
Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure. Have you seen The Queen's Gambit on Netflix?
Everybody's been telling me to watch that. That's on my short list of shows to watch.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a lot because it's a movie about chess. I thought, how good could it be? Oh my Lord, not a movie series about chess. Man, great series.
There's so many movies out there that I want to watch. And, I think like the movies that I love the most do make me feel something. Like, I'm binge watching a TV show right now, Grey's Anatomy from the beginning.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, yeah.
And I cry at it. I laugh at it. I'm such a baby.
It's a great show. Dr. McDreamy, I think it is. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it is a really good show. They've got some great acting and writing on that show for sure.
When I was late teens, early 20s in college, I would actually go to the movies first with just a friend every Sunday night, whatever the new movie was, first run at the Valley Cinema, the Crabtree Valley Cinema, whatever. I would go, and then when he fell off, by the wayside, I don't mind going to movies by myself. I saw Star Wars, the original, the first one, same theater by myself. I don't, I kind of enjoy going all by myself to see a movie.
Yeah, that it can be a lot of fun just going there, immersing yourself, and even if you're going by yourself, you're still there with everybody in the theaters. You still get to have that collective experience. That's so much fun.
Go ahead, Mike.
Do you prefer watching movies in the theater or at home?
I would say I really enjoy the theater, but there's that ease of watching it at home, and obviously it's a lot cheaper.
Right.
At home. But I really, I haven't gone to the movie theater in a year, nearly a year now, and I've been kind of sad about that. I just from the studies I've read, it's not quite so safe to be in a movie theater right now. So
yeah.
And I think at least one theater chain has gone bankrupt. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Because nobody's going to the movies. It's that plus cable plus apps.
Yeah.
I can see it's obviously the movie business is obviously seeking a lower plateau.
Yeah. I do hope that it gets back, this year at some point. It can really get back to where it was, because I think of movies like I just watched, I don't know if you guys have heard of Tenet, the sci-fi movie that came out.
Wait. Keep talking.
Okay. So it's a movie by Christopher Nolan, who did Inception and the the Batman movie with Heath Ledger. I forget what the name of the second one in the series was. But he's done he does sort of the twisty turny kind of movies. And it's basically about these three people who are caught up in this sort of shadowy organization called Tenant, and it sort of deals with time and the manipulation of time. So it's an out there movie for sure, but that's a movie that watching it, I'm like, I would have loved to see this in the theater because it's an action movie.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know if you guys saw Inception, but it's one of those that's really meant to be on the big screen.
Was Inception, was that the one about dreams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we'll see. I haven't seen the new Wonder Woman movie yet, but I was thinking that would have been a great movie to see in the theaters too, but just gotta wait.
We got a comment I just put on the screen.
Oh, I didn't know that you guys got comments. That's fun.
Yeah, we're live. We're feeding live on Facebook. So I always forget you could show these comments. I watched the first season of Cobra Kai, and last night I watched the first Karate Kid. I thought Cobra Kai was a lot like those old after school specials with all the bullying.
Yeah.
Alexis Aguilera. She also said, I like Queen Gambit too.
Oh yeah, Lord.
I guess that's what I got to start watching tonight then. That's the main thing the main TV show I sort of watched several TV shows at once, but I've been rewatching Charmed, which if you guys don't know what that's about.
Oh, now you're speaking my language, Anne. Oh,
okay.
Mike, Charmed? Isn't that the witches? The three?
Yeah. Yes, the three witches where Shannon Doherty got fired for being a bitch.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they took Rose McGowan on, and she has a whole other set of problems. So.
Oh my God, that woman is cray. She's nuts. I saw her on 11 interview. I'm like, she sounds paranoid.
Yeah, she's got some issues. So, no, I adore Charmed. It's like I think my 5th or 6th time rewatching the whole series. So,
wow,
that's been my comfort series for I don't know the last 20 years, something like that, just to watch over and over. So, it's been several years since I rewatched it last, so I get to sort of discover it anew. One of the things I have trouble with is my memory, partially because of my medication and my mental health issues. So a lot of these shows, even if I've seen them again and again, I'm like rediscovering them, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what happened that time.
That's great. Yeah, TV actually has always been my comfort. To this day, I have to work on my taxes or something where I can actually watch or listen to a television show. I'll crank up. I've come to like Hulu. They've got the Law and Order SVU. They got a show about a guy in prison, life sentence. He's an attorney. I can't think of what it's called, but I love series, and especially when they have a good number of episodes. I love CSI Miami because it's so campy. Because Horatio, the guy that's the lead actor, the redheaded guy, is so over the top acting. Taking his sunglasses off and putting his sunglasses on.
I remember the first time somebody did that on TV, and it was made fun of like instantly, and then it just keeps got to keep doing that particular.
So you like television as well as motion pictures?
Yes, I am a huge fan of TV, and I'm getting towards the end of the Charmed rewatch, and I'm feeling already sad that it's going to be over, and then I probably have to wait a few years before I rewatch that. But yeah, TV is something also that has been there. It's something that I've loved to consume since I was a kid as well. Mm-hmm. And then another show that I've been rewatching that I watched when I was a kid is Quantum Leap.
Oh man, Scott Bakula, right?
Yeah. Bakula, yeah.
And Mike, that show, Quantum Leap, the scientist who's kind of in charge of the experiment that Scott Bakula is traveling in was Dennis Wolfberg, comic who passed away many years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a character I think named Ziggy, who's the scientist behind the whole thing, and Dennis Wolfberg played Ziggy.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
So Ziggy's the computer.
Oh,
so the I know who you're talking about.
Redheaded, bug-eyed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. His comedy is every punchline he hits is just hard and his eyes bulge.
I think it's Gucci. I might be wrong. I don't know if there's anybody listening who's a Quantum Leap fan, but I think it might be Gucci or something. It's something weird. One of the things that I find so amusing about that show is I think it started in 1986, but it was set in like 1999, and sort of this idea that in the near future we're going to have this time travel. But it was 1999 was just the technology that supposedly they had in 1999 was like if it was more like 2050. So it was these weird sort of time strands with Quantum Leap. But for those who don't know, Quantum Leap is basically a show about the scientist who invents sort of time travel, but when he becomes part of an experiment, he's sort of put into different bodies of people throughout the time period of his lifetime. So he leaps throughout his lifetime into these different people to sort of right wrongs and save people and have adventures and that kind of thing.
Yeah, my favorite episode was the one where he picks up the guitar and he's playing a Beatles tune. Imagine. On the porch of the house, and a young woman comes out and she's, "What are you playing?" And he goes, "It's a Beatles tune," in the guise of the other character that he's inside of. And she goes, "I've got all the Beatles albums. There's no song like that on the." It was yet to come out, I think, later that year. It was during the Vietnam War era. Imagine all the people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like that show. I love time travel.
It was also, I think it really holds up a lot of the episodes. There was one where it was all about he had leapt into the body of this man in the 60s, I believe it was, and the man might or might not have been gay. It's never clear, but there are other gay characters in it, and Sam, the protagonist, is all about how there's nothing wrong with folks who are gay. And then the Al, who's the sort of sidekick kind of guy.
Oh yeah, dark-haired guy.
He was. You see him being very homophobic during the episode. But Sam is always like, "No, that's not true. That's not the way it is." And by the end, Al has sort of come around to the idea that it's okay to be gay. It's okay to be gay in the military. It's okay to be gay anywhere. And this is, in the late 80s, you didn't always have TV shows that had an episode about homophobia.
No, right? Lord.
So that's just one of them.
You were talking about how the difference between like 1986 and they thought it was 1999 in Quantum Leap. And it just made me think, I feel like we are living today in a sci-fi movie. Like, who knew we'd be on lockdown for so long? It feels so weird.
No, I agree. Sometimes actually this sort of, I get this idea in my head quite a few times. I don't know, sort of the idea of alternate realities where, there's some other reality where this is not happening. And why can't I just travel to that other reality? I'm going to switch, sort of a Rick and Morty maybe situation, but not quite so violent. If people would love to watch Rick and Morty.
I remember that episode of Charmed. The alternate reality episode.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are that whole sort of mini arc of the alternate realities and sort of, what does it look like? The emo version of all the characters, basically,
Right.
is what it was. But
Well,
like with one of the male characters has these like weird braids in his hair, and that's supposed to be like make him evil. I don't know. There's some funniness. There's some campiness to that show.
yeah. Didn't Seinfeld do an alternative reality show where they showed like an alternate cast? It was sort of the same characters, but obviously different people. I'm trying to think what the
I didn't watch Seinfeld, so.
what?
Yeah, it kind of wasn't my jam either.
I just wasn't a big fan of the people on that show. I just thought they were kind of like whining. I don't know.
Yeah, they were always complaining. I was in a little country called an island called Madeira, off the coast of Portugal. It's a Portugal property. I was between cruises waiting, and they took us to a little pub, and I mean, it was like Brigadoon. All these peasants, like going back in time.
All these peasants.
Yeah. And I stayed in a hotel, and I came out about 3:00 in the afternoon to go get something to eat, and it's like a ghost town. And I said to the guy at the front desk, where in the hell is everybody? And he goes, well, it's 3:00, Seinfeld. So apparently the entire island was in love with Seinfeld, and the business stopped at 3 in the afternoon because it was a rerun of Seinfeld. Mm-hmm.
That is funny.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm one of those people, I think, in the minority that's just never got to be my kind of show, but a lot of people really love that show. So
Mine neither. The humor didn't strike me. It's much more like I'm much more of a stupid kind of humor person, and that was a smart kind of humor person. So
what's the writer for Seinfeld that had the something last word is me? Yeah, Larry David show on HBO.
Yeah.
And comics love that show. And I tried a couple episodes. I'm like, I just don't get it. I never, like you and Seinfeld, and I just never quite. I didn't like the characters. He was whining all the time.
Yeah, I didn't get into Curb Your Enthusiasm either.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. That was it. Yeah. So there was a mental element in, I think, one of the TV shows we talk about. Somebody had a mental issue. Is there a TV show that's prototypical, kind of one of the lead characters has a mental issue of one kind or another, depression, schizoaffective? I'm trying to think.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot out there. I'm trying to think. Actually, you know what? This is definitely not what you're thinking about. But I just wanted to plug this new show that I've been watching called Call Me Kat, which is Mayim.
Start yet? I got excited. I'm so sorry.
You like that show, Mike?
I haven't seen it. I'm obsessed with Mayim Bialik ever since Beaches. Again, back to Beaches.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So Mayim Bialik is plays a woman who was 39 years old, single, perpetually single, unlucky in love her whole life, has social anxiety disorder, and quit her job as a math professor to become the owner of a cat cafe.
Right.
So there's a lot of parallels. I'm 40. I've been single for a while, and I am obsessed with cats. So that it's just funny, and she talks to the camera, which I'm a huge fan of hers. I'm not as a huge Big Bang Theory fan, but I really loved her in Blossom, which is a show she did in the 90s.
Right.
Where she talks to camera, and so in Call Me Kat, she also talks to camera, and I'm a huge fan of the talk to camera kind of shows. It feels very intimate, and like you really it's almost like this is your new friend kind of thing.
Well, and a friend of mine got a phone call from somebody in the production company for Call Me Kat. And there's a character on there, and his real name is Lindsay something. Lindsay Gordon. Lindsay. He's flaming flamingly gay.
Yeah.
Makes no bones about it. And what they wanted to do was, I'm not sure how he's related to the main character. If they're
he works in the cat cafe that she runs.
Yes, and so they wanted my southern friend, big, strapping, 6'2", no filter, as country as cornbread, because Lindsay is very southern, to come on as Lindsay's brother, and so it's still in the works. Yeah, now what threw both of us was when he got a call. The show's on CBS, premiering on CBS on January 4th, and next thing you know, it's on Fox. So I don't know if it was a Fox television production and they maybe didn't do well in the first night. So the, Fox TV production company, Fox Studios maybe said, well, give it back to us. We'll run it. So I'm not sure why. And he said there was dancing in it. He watched an episode. So people were like doing line dancing in the show. And I guess I got to watch and find out what that's all about.
Yeah, you definitely got to watch. There was some line dancing in the show, and that was at a wedding. I think that must have been the first episode. There's also like a piano cabaret bar and then there was like, there were scenes where some of the characters were doing karaoke, but playing the piano and singing. Like, it's just like offbeat stuff in that show, but it's a lot of fun. I was really pleasantly surprised with the pilot episode.
No, if you tune in, the giant country boy. That's my friend, Jerry. Yeah, because he had been on a show called Amazing America with Sarah Palin, a couple of seasons. One of the correspondents, and somebody on that show is working on Call Me Cat, and somebody must have said, "We need a big Southern boy with no filter, just a good old boy." And Jerry got the call, so he's perfect for it. You know what, Ann? I think if he got on the show with Lindsay, the other guy, I believe they would be, what do they call it, breakout characters, and they'd probably spin them off into their own series. I think that Lindsay's personality is strong enough, and certainly my friend Jerry's is, that they could carry a show, I think. So I just got my fingers crossed it survives.
Well, yeah, that actor, Lindsay, he's just so good. I mean, I've seen him in other things. He's just such a character, and I love his accent. It's just perfect, and it sort of, and he's so tiny. That's part of it. He looks like he's about 4'10", so
yep,
that's part of the humor there.
So what's your favorite movie of all time?
So that's definitely Inside Out. So that's the one. I think we talked about that on your show, Frank.
Yes. For those of who listen to podcasts, give us the plot.
Sure. So basically, Inside Out is the story of an 11-year-old girl named Riley and the 5 emotions in her head. So Riley has to move from her home in Minnesota to San Francisco, and that really messes up the emotions in her head, which is anger, sadness, joy, disgust, and fear. So when she's moved, everything gets shaken up, and then sadness and joy get lost in her mind, and they have to make it back to emotional headquarters so she can feel sadness and joy again.
Wow.
It's a Pixar movie.
I think is it animation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I've never seen it. I want to see it. I've wanted to see it for a long time.
It's so good, and I'm not the only one who thinks that it's great for mental health. I mean, I talk about in the book, there's a researcher, and I'm blanking on her name right now, but she was talking about how important it is also for kids, because the movie sort of shows that it's good to feel all of your feelings. It's important not to stuff down your emotions, because that just leads to things going haywire. So you'd think, some people might think, well, it's great that you wouldn't feel sad, but no, you need to feel sad. Like that's an important part of who you are. And from your sadness can come empathy.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yep.
that's a big part of being able to relate to other people when they're feeling sad, is the fact that you can feel sad. So it's just, I just adore that movie. And Sadness is played by Phyllis Smith, who was in The Office and various other things, and she's sort of the breakout character. But I've been in different therapy groups and different things, that like intensive outpatient therapy or intensive outpatient program, and different things like that. And they'll just come up with clips from Inside Out in these different groups.
That's
They'll
great.
show different clips. So I'm not the only one who thinks this is perfect for people who have mental health issues.
What about Analyze Me? With De Niro and I can't think who else is in there.
Yeah, that's Billy Crystal.
Oh, he plays a shrink, and De Niro's in the mob. Is it sort of a Sopranos thing
I
where?
love that. Yeah. Hit the pillow. Time to feel better.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good one. I'm a huge Billy Crystal fan. Talking about chick flicks, When Harry Met Sally, I mean that's definitely, although it's not quite a weepy like some of the other ones.
When Harry Met Sally isn't on my top 10. Alexis Agnella said, Mike Catero, you might like the new Wonder Woman. It's kind of chick flicky. I probably would. I actually want to see it. Thank you. And she also wrote, a therapist I saw 4 years ago recommended to me Inside Out. It is good. I want to see it. So I have a list now of things. I used to have a client who was agoraphobic, so we only did phone sessions. She would say, have you seen this? And I'd say, no. Have you seen this? No. Have you seen this? No. She's like, I'm making you a list of movies.
Well, you better put Inside Out at the top of that list, Mike.
Yes, ma'am. It was great meeting you, Anne. Oh my God.
Thank you.
So where can people get your book?
People can get my book on Amazon.
Mhm.
So it's called Our Favorite Movies, How Films Affect Our Mental Health. Just head on over to Amazon and you can find that book. And in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be also putting it on Kindle Countdown deals.
Nice.
So, yeah.
All right. I'm excited.
And you are an editor by trade? Is that what?
Yes, I'm an editor. I do also freelance writing. I do transcribing, and I do data entry.
I thought so. Yeah, just thought I'd get a little plug for your business while we're here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Writing Wisely. My website is wearewritingwisely.com.
Oh, okay. Easy.
And that's the link I put up in the notes for your book. So hopefully people will go there.
Yep, there's two different places you can find the book. So you can find it on Amazon and you can find it on the link that you've got up there, Mike.
Last question. Another book in you, Anne?
Yes. Next book. And you had asked me last time, Frank, about a working title. So I thought about it. I'm going to call My Favorite Mental Health Movies is my working title.
Yeah.
And it's all about movies that have mental health themes. I'm going to talk about whether they're realistic and whether watching it helped me in any way and how they can help other people. So
My Favorite Mental Health Movies.
Yes.
Okay.
I got myself a working title.
Movies that I'm crazy about. Sorry, I couldn't help myself, man.
That crazy movie.
And I still got to hook you up with Chris Clues.
Yes, I was thinking about that.
Entire speaking career is about the wisdom of the 80s, Mike. What people today the things that were in pop culture in the 80s that offer great advice for today. You know, he talks about the Spicoli and Fast Times at Ridgemont High and you know, all those 80s movies. And I thought, man, it would be great to chat with him about movies, you know, those particular ones from the 80s and, you know, the lessons learned and that kind of thing. So I'll get an email together, introduce you guys. And
great. Well, thank you. And thank you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You were an awesomely fun guest.
Yeah, that's true. I love talking movies and TV shows because those are it's like comfort food for me.
And you spoke my language. Call me Cat Charmed. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's yeah. If we could have just made him cry, and that would have been perfect.
Okay, I'll try that. I'll try to work on that next time.
Yeah. All right, kid.
Buddy.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
Anne.